Night arrives and the noise loosens its grip, yet your shoulders still carry the weight. Deadlines that don't sleep, expectations you never agreed to, memories that wake you before the alarm. Breathe. Let the air arrive all the way down to your ribs, to the place where your chest has learned to stay braced. Ask yourself, with the honesty of a man who has already fought and bled and loved, what am I still holding that no longer holds me? What am I carrying because I once needed it, not because I need it now? The calendar turns and pretends it is only numbers, but your body knows when a threshold has been crossed. 40 is not a hill to die on, it is a gate to pass through. There's a silence that doesn't accuse, it blesses. Let that silence sit beside you now. You don't need a lecture. You don't need another voice telling you what a man should be. You need the kind of truth that takes off its shoes before it enters your life. You need words that respect the scars, that speak softly enough for your nervous system to unclench. Steady cadence, deeper breath, a rhythm your heart can trust. You have tried speed. You have tried more. Now you are ready for better. Not the better that sparkles for strangers, but the better that steadies a home, clears a mind, strengthens a backbone, and frees a soul. Before it's too late does not mean you are on the edge of failure. It means you are tired of delay. Too late is not a clock on the wall. It is a slow forgetting of who you were meant to be. It creeps in, not with a shout, but with a shrug. It's the coldness that grows when you say yes to what does not fit. The drifting that happens when your attention is rented out to everything and married to nothing. Too late is when the body moves, but the spirit stays seated. The good news is simple and strong. You are not too late. Not today. Not while breath still answers your name. There is an ancient voice that understands men who carry kingdoms inside their chests. It speaks of quietness that is worth more than grasping, of the trap that forms when you build your life around applause, of money that flares and disappears when it is chased like fireworks instead of planted like seed, of overlooking offenses not as weakness but as royal self-command. It calls you to depth, covenant, and discernment. That voice will not shout above the crowd for you. It invites you to walk away from the crowd with it. Wisdom doesn't chase you down the street. It waits by the gate and watches for men who are ready to come home. Your mind has patterns, and your body has rehearsals. The amygdala remembers where you were humiliated. The jaw tightens when a room reminds you of that day. But neuroplasticity is mercy in motion. Repetition builds pathways the way footsteps carve a trail. Slow the breath and the prefrontal cortex wakes up. Name the feeling, and the feeling loosens. Choose the next small, faithful act, and the brain learns a new ending to an old story. Spirituality and neuroscience are not enemies. They are partners in your renovation. In the soul, meaning gives direction. In the brain, rhythm gives safety. Together, they give you back your future. This is not a court. I am not a judge. You will hear hard truths spoken softly, because hardness without compassion breaks men, and compassion without truth leaves them lost. The mirror is kind tonight. It will not agree with your shame or flatter your ego. It will show you the weight, and it will show you the door. We are not adding anything to your load. We are setting things down. We are not hunting for perfection. We are searching for freedom. Again and again, we will return to this breath, this body, this moment where life is actually lived and changed. You already know something is different after 40. You feel it in your patience for shallow victories, in your impatience for noise that wastes your days. The parties you once endured now feel like sand in your teeth. The conflicts you once pursued now feel like taxes on your peace. The trophies you once chased now gather dust in your mind. You want something you can trust when the lights are off and the house is quiet. You want a way of being a man that your children can stand under, like a roof in a storm. You want a strength that does not need to be loud to be unbreakable. So listen with your whole body. Ears hear words, but skin hears tone, and tone is where safety lives. Notice your breath when truth approaches. Notice your spine when dignity is named. Notice your chest when a lie you've carried starts to loosen. Let the wisdom that outlives empires speak to your ordinary Tuesday, to your calendar, to your bank account, to your marriage, to your thoughts as you try to sleep. Let it speak to the boy who still lives somewhere inside the man, the boy who wanted to be brave and kind and free, and who learned along the way to be busy, defended, and tired. 5 things every man needs to leave behind after 40, before it's too late. Let the title settle, not as a threat, but as a promise. Leaving behind is not losing, it is a trade. When a craftsman lays down a dull tool, he is not giving up on work, he is committing to better work. When a king closes the outer gate, he is not rejecting his people, he is protecting the inner court. When a man says no, it is not weakness, it is stewardship of the life he has been assigned. Your future will not be built by weight you cannot carry, it will be built by what you choose to carry well. If the heart is a city, it needs fewer entrances, stronger walls, clearer watchmen. Too many open gates invite thieves. Too many opinions create a parliament that never adjourns. This is the moment to move from crowded to curated, from frantic to focused. There is authority in choosing which voices get a seat. There is peace in deciding which moments deserve your presence. There is dignity in placing your energy where it multiplies instead of where it is consumed. And there is relief, holy, physical relief, when you set down what does not belong to you any longer. Now breathe again, longer in, slower out. Feel the weight shift. Feel the room get cleaner inside your chest. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are not alone. You are a man standing at a gate with a key in his hand. When you walk through, some things will not come with you. Let that be a comfort, not a fear. Let it be a decision, not a drama. Let it be wisdom, not pride. The path narrows so your life can deepen. The circle tightens so your freedom can expand. The noise fades so the truth can be heard. The first stone to set down waits just ahead. The gate is before you. The city will be stronger with fewer entrances. Step with a steady heart. The right voices are already on the other side. There is a way a room can turn you into someone else. Shoulders inch higher, sentences grow cautious, and a part of you starts scanning faces for the smallest signal of acceptance. You know that dance. You learned it to survive classrooms, offices, dinner tables where silence felt like a verdict. Your body remembers the cost. Your chest tightens when the crowd is pleased and tightens again when the crowd is quiet. Somewhere along the way, the applause became a leash, and the leash began to feel like belonging. The mind calls it networking. The nervous system calls it danger avoided. The soul calls it a slow forgetting of who you are. Living by others' opinions, career, style, even convictions bend to the crowd. It sounds harmless until you realize how subtle the bending has become. A yes that was supposed to be generous turns into a habit that erases you. A smile that was once warm becomes a mask you cannot remove. You feel it in your spine when a small compromise whispers that it is only a one-time favor. You feel it in your breath when a larger compromise arrives already justified by fear. This is not weakness. It is a survival strategy that worked once and now taxes you every day. What used to protect you begins to confine you, and you can sense the walls even when the room is wide. If I'm universally liked, I'm winning. The sentence arrives with a soft voice, even a reasonable logic. It promises simplicity. It promises safety. Yet it turns every environment into a mirror that decides your value. It rewards silence when wisdom would speak, and performance when presence would suffice. It keeps the peace on the surface while starting a war inside. To be universally liked, you must be universally available. To be universally available, you must be perpetually distracted from what matters. Liking becomes a currency, and you spend your attention until the account is empty and you cannot remember what it felt like to be whole. After 40, narrowing your circle expands your freedom and impact. The paradox is quiet and strong. The smaller table does not shrink your life, it deepens it. Fewer chairs mean fuller conversations. Clearer boundaries mean clearer identity. You notice the change in your nervous system when you enter rooms that know your name and honor your cadence. Your breath steadies. Your decisions land. The brain loves predictability more than popularity. The heart trusts covenant more than exposure. What looks like limitation from the outside becomes liberation on the inside, and your days begin to carry the weight of meaning instead of the weight of managing perception. The fear of man lays a snare. The ancient line is simple and exact, and your body knows it is true the moment you hear it. Fear builds invisible traps in ordinary places. You feel it when your laugh is half a note higher than usual. You feel it when you rehearse an answer to a question no one has asked yet. You feel it when your schedule says yes faster than your soul. The wisdom is not about contempt for people. It is about right placement of authority. When praise becomes a compass, the path bends toward whoever is loudest. When conscience becomes a compass, the path bends toward what is good. Proverbs 29:25. The King's Gate, fewer voices, stronger city. Hold the image without forcing it. A city with every gate open cannot tell the difference between guests and thieves. A heart with every opinion inside cannot tell the difference between guidance and pressure. A gate is not a wall, it is a decision. It is the place where dignity stands and says that not every voice gets a key. Fewer voices does not mean fewer relationships, it means deeper ones. It means counsel that can disagree without punishing you. It means friendship that honors the man you are becoming rather than the mask you perfected when applause was cheap. Chronic yeses, diluted priorities, decision fatigue. 3 small phrases that explain why nights feel crowded even when the calendar looks clear. The mind is finite. The body is honest. Each unnecessary yes steals attention from work that matters and presence from people you love. Fatigue is not always a lack of sleep. Often it is a deficit of alignment. When your outer words do not match your inner center, every task draws twice the energy. You are not lazy, you are leaking. The leak slows when your yes regains its weight and your no remembers its kindness. 7-day approval fast. 1 purposeful no per day. Log where you felt pressure and what truly mattered. Think of it as a gentle experiment rather than a performance. The brain learns through repetition and reflection, and the nervous system relaxes when patterns become predictable. 1 no becomes a signal of safety to your future self. The small log becomes a map of where your boundaries were crossed and where your values came back into focus. Over days, the amygdala reduces its alarm at the sound of your own refusal, and the prefrontal cortex returns to the table with patience and clarity. You notice the shift in your body first. Then you notice it in your calendar. Then you notice it in your confidence that no longer depends on a room. This is not rebellion against community. It is a reconciliation with integrity. Approval is a good thing when it is the fruit of honesty. It is a costly thing when it is the price of admission to a life you did not choose. The men you admire most have circles that are small enough to be honest and strong enough to be loyal. The work you respect most was made in rooms where applause came after integrity, not before it. Your soul is asking for that order again. Approval in its right place. Conscience in its rightful seat. Peace that is not borrowed from strangers but built from alignment. There is tenderness in this turning. You can love people without letting them decide your path. You can welcome feedback without surrendering your center. You can practice courtesy without selling your birthright. You will feel the difference in your posture when a yes arises from conviction rather than pressure. You will feel the difference in your voice when a no is spoken with respect rather than resentment. The change does not need to be loud to be real. Quiet choices, repeated, rewire the story your body tells itself about safety and worth, whose approval has quietly become your master. There is a moment when a simple suggestion feels like a verdict and a raised eyebrow lands like a stone. The body remembers old humiliations and the mind reaches for armor that used to work. A breath shortens, a jaw sets. The answer arrives faster than the question. It is not malice. It is momentum. Experience becomes a shell, and the shell keeps out the cold while keeping out the fresh air you need to grow. The years earned you skills and scars, and somewhere along the way, the same instincts that once protected you began to keep you from the very wisdom that would honor you now. Experience hardens into defensiveness. Feedback feels like attack. The sentence is honest, not accusatory, and it explains why rooms where you are respected can still feel dangerous when truth enters. The nervous system confuses update with threat. The amygdala rings its bell. The hands prepare to explain, to dismiss, to reframe. Yet a quiet part of you knows that defensiveness is an expensive way to feel safe. It costs innovation. It costs intimacy. It costs credibility with people who want to trust you more, not less. Years, wisdom, critique is disrespect. The belief promises dignity without the discomfort of learning. It sounds like honor for the journey, but it turns the journey into a museum where nothing can be touched. If years alone guaranteed wisdom, every long road would end in clarity. Many do not. Wisdom grows where truth is welcomed. Wisdom grows where questions are not treated as treason. Wisdom grows where a man can say, "I did not know," and remains a man. Dignity is not the same as defensiveness. Respect earned yesterday is not threatened by correction today. The wise don't need to be right to remain respected. That sentence lands with a gentle weight. Respect that depends on winning. Every exchange is not respect, it is theater. People follow men who can change their minds without losing their center. People trust men who can absorb new data without rewriting their worth. The spine stays straight, the voice stays calm. The decision shifts because the information improved. Authority deepens, not because the performance is flawless, but because the humility is real. Whoever loves discipline loves knowledge. Proverbs 12:1. The ancient line is not harsh, it is hopeful. Love of discipline is love of being shaped by reality, not by ego. Knowledge is not a trophy. It is a friendship with truth that matures over time. The brain cooperates with this when safety is felt. Slow the breath and the prefrontal pathways light up. Name the feeling and the alarm lowers. Receive the insight and the future opens. Spiritual wisdom and emotional neuroscience agree on this point. A teachable heart and a regulated body travel together. The whetstone. Steel is honored by what sharpens it. Hold that picture. Unsharpened steel is heavy and impressive, but it does not serve. Contact with a harder surface gives back the edge that work requires. Sparks fly. Some metal is lost. The tool becomes useful again. In friendship, in marriage, in leadership, in craft, the same law holds. People who love you will sometimes sound like whetstone. Conditions you cannot control will sometimes feel like whetstone. The goal is not to avoid the contact. The goal is to become edged for what you are called to carry. Stagnant leadership, avoidable mistakes, shrinking teams. These are not punishments, they are signals. When the room stops speaking honestly, it is because the room learned honesty is expensive. When mistakes repeat, it is because the system protects the story more than the truth. When teams thin, it is because people prefer honest growth elsewhere to delicate silence here. Awareness hurts for a moment. Avoidance hurts for a season. Alignment heals over time. Pride promises immediate relief and long debt. Humility costs in the moment and pays compound interest. You can count. Second answer rule. Pause 60 seconds after feedback. Restate what you heard, then respond. Appoint 3 truth tellers. Think of it as a refuge rather than a rule. The first answer belongs to adrenaline. The second answer belongs to wisdom. 60 seconds is not weakness. It is a nervous system repair window where the body learns that truth can touch it without breaking it. Restating what you heard turns confrontation into collaboration. Naming 3 trusted voices gives your future a counsel that can disagree without exile. Repetition builds pathways. pathways build peace. Peace makes learning possible again. There is nothing small about a man who can say, "I see what I missed," and then honors the person who helped him see it. There is nothing fragile about a leader who can allow a better idea to win. This is strength that will outlive the trends and outlast the noise. This is authority that does not need to shout. This is confidence that grows quieter and surer because it is built on reality, not on performance. The ego that refuses to be taught feels strong in the moment and empty in the night. The heart that stays teachable feels exposed in the moment and becomes whole in the long run. Where did your growth stop the day your pride started? Money has a way of speaking in the body before it speaks in the ledger. The jaw tightens when bills arrive. The stomach dips when a card is swiped for something that flashes brighter than it lasts. The pulse quickens at the scent of a windfall, and then quickens again when the numbers refuse to confirm the fantasy. It is not greed so much as a nervous hope that the next thing will calm the system, that the purchase will quiet the noise, that the play will finally prove you are safe. Quiet debt, anxious cash flow, appearances outrunning foundations. There is a story the mind tells when the calendar advances and responsibilities multiply. It says that the rays waiting out there will make discipline unnecessary in here, that a bigger river will fix a leaky bucket. The sentence arrives polished and persuasive. Higher income will fix undisciplined spending. Yet the math of peace is different from the math of income. Without a boundary, more becomes never enough. Without clarity, status becomes a hobby that collects your attention the way interest collects on a loan. The soul knows the difference between increase and excess, and it knows the bill that excess always sends at night. The wisdom that steadies men past 40 is not glamorous. It is almost stubborn in its simplicity. Margin, income, boring money habits beat flashy risks. Margin is the quiet square of empty space on the page of your finances where emergencies can breathe. Margin is the signal to your nervous system that tomorrow is not a cliff. When margin grows, fear loses leverage and options return. The future stops feeling like a hallway with a locked door and starts feeling like a room with windows that open. Wealth hastily gained will dwindle. Proverbs 13:11. The line is old and surgical. Haste feeds the part of the brain that loves novelty and forgets consequence. Haste is a promise without a plan. Patience is not laziness. Patience is the confidence that a good seed will tell time the truth. When money is allowed to mature the way character matures, returns arrive with roots. When money is demanded to thrill the way entertainment thrills, returns evaporate like theater smoke. Seed versus fireworks. One multiplies silently, one burns out loudly. A field does not look rich while the seed sleeps, yet value is compounding underground. Fireworks look like victory and end as smoke and silence. The life built on displays must keep buying brighter displays. The life built on sowing can rest while the earth does what the earth has always done. You can hear the difference inside your chest. Fireworks spike the heart and leave it empty. Seed work steadies the heart and leaves it grateful. Stress, missed opportunities, fragile households. These are the taxes paid by a life that chases appearances. Stress turns a simple phone call into a threat. Missed opportunities hide in plain sight because all attention is leased to payments that prove nothing. Households weaken not only from lack of funds, but from lack of trust in the future. The brain exhausts itself predicting the next surprise. The soul grows impatient with a story that never lands. This is not punishment. It is the physics of misaligned desire meeting time. The 4 accounts. Give 10%, invest 15 to 25%, operate 50-60%, optional play 5 to 10%, review weekly in 15 minutes. There is nothing glamorous here, and that is why it works. The brain relaxes when categories are simple and repeated. The heart finds dignity when generosity is not an afterthought, but a foundation. The household finds rhythm when operating costs stop expanding to the edge of income. Play becomes sweeter when it is a portion, not a performance. Over weeks, a pattern becomes a pathway, and a pathway becomes relief. You can feel in your shoulders when you open the banking app and your body does not flinch. There is also a quieter wealth that spreadsheets do not measure. It is the wealth of choosing objects that serve rather than signal, of owning fewer things that work longer, of saying yes to purchases that match your future rather than your fear. It is the wealth of a schedule that includes evenings without anxiety and mornings without regret. It is the wealth of entering a room and knowing that no one there has the power to bankrupt your peace with their opinion of your lifestyle. It is the wealth of being trusted at home, because promises turn into patterns and patterns turn into protection. Guilt is not the point and shame has no place here. Most men who sprint into risk with their money are trying to outrun a feeling that no number can catch. The body tries thrills when it has not known safety. The mind tries shortcuts when it has not known process. Safety and process do not sparkle, but they build a legacy that does not need to be defended. When money learns to be honest, the rest of life learns to breathe. When spending learns to be aligned, the rest of life learns to sing in tune. What expense exists only to impress people you don't respect? Some memories walk into the room before you do. They change your posture. They tighten your breath. They whisper an old name that no longer fits. There is a heaviness that comes from stories you did not choose yet learned to carry, and from roles that once kept the peace yet now keep you from being present. You can feel it in the way your eyes scan for risk instead of welcome, in the way your voice prepares a defense even in gentle company, in the way your chest forgets how to rise without effort. Resentment and labels, the tough one, the fixer, draining presence. There is a belief that pretends to protect while quietly narrowing your life. It says, the wound is your guardian and the wall is your friend. It says, the old script is safer than the unknown stage. It says, control is the same as peace. Grudges protect me. My old story defines me. The sentence feels like armor, and for a time it was. Yet armor that never comes off becomes a prison. You start to hear your own name as if it belongs to someone you outgrew. You start to move through rooms as if you owe your past a debt your future must keep paying. Then a different truth arrives, not loud but resolute, and something inside you recognizes its authority. Forgiveness is strategic power. Identity is chosen, not inherited. This is not theory, it is the physics of the soul. When you forgive, you are not erasing what happened. You are ending its right to design your next chapter. When you choose identity, you are not disrespecting your history. You are honoring the person who survived it by letting him become more than it required. The nervous system knows the difference. The body relaxes when the sentence you live by no longer locks you in. It is a man's glory to overlook an offense. Proverbs 19:11. The line does not ask you to pretend you were not hurt. It invites you to practice royal self-command. Overlooking is not denial. It is a choice to remain larger than the injury. Glory here is not applause. It is the quiet brightness of a soul that refuses to be dragged into smallness. Spiritual wisdom and emotional neuroscience bow to the same reality. When you let go, the threat response softens, the prefrontal mind returns, and your future becomes available again. Picture a courtyard in a palace at noon. Gardeners move through the trees with steady hands, trimming what no longer gives life, so that life can travel where it is needed. Palace pruning, cutting dead branches to save the tree. What falls to the ground is not a failure of the tree, it is stewardship for the roots. In a man's life, this looks like setting down grudges that have starved the branches of joy. It looks like releasing roles others handed you so that your true strength can carry weight without pretending. The sound is small, the result is vast. Bitterness taxes health, marriage, leadership. The body pays in the currency of sleep, lost, and energy drained. The home pays when a quiet evening is interrupted by a story from years ago that still demands a courtroom. The work pays when decisions are made to satisfy an old argument instead of to serve the present mission. None of this is punishment. It is a ledger that finally tells the truth. The cost is real. The cost is measurable. The cost is optional when a man chooses freedom over rehearsal. Name, release, replace. Write the offense. Release it aloud. Replace with a vow. From today, This is not a performance for an audience. It is a conversation between a man and his future. Naming brings the memory out of hiding and returns it to the light where it loses its power to ambush. Releasing allows the body to exhale the moment it has been holding like a breath for too long. Replacing gives your mind a new pathway to walk when the old road tries to call you back. Repetition carves the path deeper. The nervous system begins to trust the new route. The soul begins to enjoy it. There is a tenderness in this kind of courage. It does not roar. It does not demand. It simply stands up from an old chair and leaves the room that kept shrinking. People may not notice at first because much of this work is invisible, but the ones closest to you will feel the atmosphere change. Your presence will feel lighter without being empty. Your words will feel clearer without being harsh. Your decisions will feel steadier without being stubborn. The man you are becoming will have room to breathe inside the life you already have. Which story from your past no longer deserves a throne in your present? There is a restlessness that wears 1,000 clever disguises. It calls itself ambition and curiosity and staying sharp, yet the body reveals its true face when the day is done. The eyes flicker from tab to tab. The mind is full but not nourished. The evening arrives and finds you in the same chair with a different distraction, scattered attention, shallow work, present but absent with family. The ache is quiet and persistent. You can love your life and still feel the slow leak of energy that happens when your focus is rented out to urgency instead of rooted in meaning. The heart begins to crave a room with fewer windows and one honest door. A sentence rises like a slogan and promises salvation through variety. More variety equals more life. The promise is seductive because novelty does light up the brain. It floods the nervous system with a brightness that feels like hope. Yet the brightness fades while the bill remains. The soul does not ask for more, it asks for deeper. The projects that matter, the relationships that hold, the craft that becomes legacy, all demand the same quiet miracle that patience and repetition perform together. The thrill of the new is a spark. The fruit of the faithful is a fire that warms over years. Depth compounds. Consistency beats novelty for legacy. The paradox is simple and smooth once you feel it in your hands. A daily return to what matters builds grooves of reliability in the mind, and those grooves become highways for excellence to travel. Neuroplasticity favors what we repeat. Spirit favors what we honor. When the same small sequence is tended with love, the work begins to carry its own momentum, and the man begins to carry a peace that does not depend on applause. The room grows quieter. The results grow steadier. The future grows clearer. Better one handful with quietness than two with toil and chasing wind. Ecclesiastes 4:6. The wisdom is older than the cities we live in and kinder than the schedules we keep. One handful is not lack. It is enough chosen with intention. Two handfuls promise abundance, while delivering exhaustion when the second hand is full of wind. Quietness here is not silence, it is settledness. It is the absence of frantic rearranging in search of a feeling that never stays. When the heart holds enough with quietness, the body stops bracing and the mind stops bargaining with the clock. Temple building, few pillars, unshakable structure. Hold the image in the center of your attention. The builders chose weight-bearing columns, not a forest of decorations. The open space was not a mistake, it was design. Fewer pillars does not mean fragility. It means every pillar is worthy of carrying a life. 3 or 4 immovable supports arranged with wisdom can hold a roof through the storm. In a man's days, this looks like choosing the small set of commitments that define a year and letting everything else orbit at a respectful distance. The floor clears. The echo softens. The sound of your own purpose returns. Plateaued career, thin relationships, spiritual drift. These are the quiet symptoms of a crowded map. The career plateaus not because talent fails, but because attention fractures. Relationships thin, not because love is absent, but because presence is scarce. The soul drifts, not because it is faithless, but because it is always being tugged by the next bright distraction. The nervous system, always vigilant for change, becomes tired of changing lanes and forgets where it was going. There is a particular fatigue that comes from living as if the meaningful were a side project and the minor were a full-time job. Covenant calendar. 3. Non-negotiables. Health, family, craft. Block the first 90 minutes daily for your highest calling. Weekly Tech Sabbath Hour. The words are simple enough to memorize and sturdy enough to shape a year. Covenant is a word that dignifies your best yes. Calendar is a word that guards it. When the first 90 minutes belong to what matters most, the rest of the day stops pretending it has the right to define you. When 1 hour each week allows the devices to go dim, the nervous system remembers the sound of an unhurried thought. The soul remembers how to hear a whisper and trust it. Something shifts when a man lets depth replace spectacle in his private economy. He begins to feel successful before the world agrees because he is measuring growth on the inside. He becomes simpler without becoming smaller. He becomes steadier without becoming stuck. People close to him feel safer in his presence because he is not broadcasting scarcity or seeking permission from a crowd for every choice. His work gains a patience that shows up as excellence. His home gains a rhythm that shows up as laughter. His faith gains a calm that shows up as kindness. There is tenderness in this refocusing. It is not the violence of cutting off entire sections of life in a dramatic gesture. It is the quiet rebuilding of weight-bearing routines, the gentle clearing of cluttered commitments, the honest naming of what feeds and what only entertains. The brain learns to associate repetition with relief. The heart learns to associate boundaries with care. The body, long trained to sprint from thrill to thrill, begins to trust the slower cadence that produces fruit. If the image of the temple lingers, let it. See the few pillars. Feel the rest of the space. Notice how the air moves more freely when the structure is clear. The same happens in a week, in a month, in a year, when your pillars stand where they should. Work that matters, people who matter, practices that keep you whole. The wind will keep trying to sell you more hands. Wisdom will keep offering you one handful with quietness. The choice will keep meeting you in the morning like light at the edge of the curtain. If you gave your best to only 3 pillars this year, which would permanently elevate your life. Morning light spilled across the courtyard like water over stone, and the king watched as 2 builders crossed the mosaic floor. The first moved with a parade behind his eyes. He spoke of arches that glittered and walls that sang. His drawings shimmered with ornament and acclaim. He described crowds that would gather, how the city would glow, how the sound of admiration would wrap the palace in thunder. The second stepped forward with quiet hands. His papers were plain. He carried soil in a small jar, a sample from the depth where the foundation would rest. He spoke of weight and weather and time, of bedrock and the slow patience of cured stone, of how a home is more felt than seen when storms visit and the night leans hard on the roof. The court listened, and the air seemed to choose sides. Some eyes lit at the embroidery of the first, others softened at the steadiness of the second. The king asked for nothing. He only lifted his finger, and the gates opened to a field near the river where both designs would be tested. While workers gathered, the men stood in the same silence, and their hearts told different stories. One rehearsed the speeches he would give when the people praised him. The other counted breaths and traced the old math of angles and load and rest. The show began quickly. The first builder raised frames that shone in the sun. Every hour brought a flourish. Every flourish collected glances. He smiled, and the crowd smiled back. The second builder stayed with the earth. He dug until the soil changed voice. He studied the dark and the damp, and the way the river might rise when the moon pulled the water. He waited for the mortar to harden, as if time were a partner and not an enemy. The field looked uneven to anyone who measured by spectacle. It looked predictable to anyone who measured by truth. By evening, the first house stood tall and thin and loud. It wore its elegance like armor. It flashed in ways that pleased the eye and ignored the weight of the sky. By evening, the second site was a quiet grid of trenches and forms. The river moved as it always did. The breeze crossed the field, and the body could tell where peace was living and where it was only visiting. The king said nothing. The king needed no speeches. He only waited for what every season eventually brings. Wind arrived the next day with rain in its mouth. It pushed against the parade of thin walls, and the walls answered with a hollow music. Nails complained, boards swayed. The men who had praised the first builder stepped back under their cloaks and pretended they had somewhere else to be. The storm did not rage. It simply did its work. The second site welcomed the rain into trenches already designed to carry it away. The forms held. The soil settled in agreement. Where there was silence, there was strength. When the clouds passed, the field told the truth. The first house still stood, but its face had changed. The corners were less sure. The seams had learned to leak. The builder who had counted on applause found that applause does not patch a roof. He tried to explain, then to defend, then to blame the weather for being weather. The king listened with a patience that did not flatter. The second builder raised his eyes from the foundation and met no storm in his chest. He had expected wind. He had planned for water. His respect lived under the surface where eyes do not cheer. In the court that evening, the lesson walked back in with the men. The king asked for no arguments. He simply let the days speak. One life had been built to impress a room. The other had been built to outlast a season. Both men felt the verdict in their bodies. One felt a tightness that comes when worth depends on strangers. The other felt the steady warmth that comes when hidden work holds. The amygdala loves crowds and bright things. The prefrontal mind loves plans that repeat and endure. The soul loves dignity more than display. A week later, the first builder returned with a new design and a softer voice. He had thrown away papers that were all costume and no courage. He had visited the second site at dawn and stood in the wet grass while the river said the same sentence it has always said. He began to love the sound. He began to listen for the ground beneath the ground. He thanked the man he had tried to outrun. The court did not mock him. It welcomed him. There is nothing small about a man who steps off a stage to learn again. Months passed. A house rose from the quiet grid. The pillars were few and honest. The rooms breathed. The light moved across the floor like a blessing. When the next storm came, the rafters answered with a deep and gentle song, the kind a body can sleep under. Neighbors gathered without being asked, not to clap for a spectacle, but to share bread in a place that felt safe. Children ran their hands along walls that had nothing to prove. The house did not glitter, it endured. The family inside grew unafraid of weather. The king walked through the finished rooms near dusk and stopped where the roof met the sky. He said little. He did not need to. The court remembered two men and two ways. The first had chased noise and found fragility. The second had chosen depth and found a life that welcomed storms without shaking. Somewhere between them, a gate stood open for any man who wanted to cross. On one side, the craving for approval and the brittle pride that refuses to be taught. On the other side, steady habits that turn seed into resource, forgiveness that frees a name from its old chains, a calendar that honors a few pillars and lets the rest of the air stay clear. Night fell, and the courtyard held the day like a memory in the palm of a hand. The king turned toward the gate that led back to the city. Behind him, the house stood like a quiet sentence that does not need to raise its voice to be believed. The field returned to silence. The river kept its rhythm. The lesson waited for the next man who would carry a kingdom inside his chest and ask for a way to build that kingdom without losing himself. A week can hold more kindness than a year when its rhythm is simple and its weight is light. Think of 7 small rooms arranged in a row, each one lit by a single lamp, each one offering the same chair and the same clean air. Nothing dramatic lives here, only patterns that calm the body, remind the mind, and give the soul a steady floor. Many men find that when repetition arrives without shame, the nervous system stops bracing and the future feels closer. Safety first, then clarity, then courage, in that order. The first day often feels like a true exhale. A single boundary returns to its rightful